And welcome to today's Dynamics 365 Tech Talk. Today's topic is production floor execution in Dynamics 365 supply chain management. My name is Nikhil Padhikar and I'll be your moderator today. Presenting for us today from Microsoft, we have Seaton, who is a senior FastTrack solution architect, Hector Ruiz de la Pena, FastTrack solution architect. We won't have Johan Hoffman today, who is a principal product manager, but he will take questions later on and provide answers to your questions. And then myself, Nikhil Padhikar, I am a principal program manager. Philip, over to you to get us started.
Great. Thank you, Nikhil. So here we have the agenda for today's Tech Talk. We will start by going over a refresher on the basic features that production floor execution interface offers. After that, we'll highlight the new registering material consumption feature, as well as have a brief demo of the tracked components feature. Next, we'll show some of the new enhancements that are available in production floor execution and note some future enhancements that are on the upcoming roadmap. And finally, we will leave some time for a short Q&A at the end. The production floor execution is an interface for workers to manage work assigned to them on the shop floor. From this workspace, workers can see overviews of the jobs assigned to them, report progress against those jobs, and track time and attendance activities. As Johan has previously given an in-depth tech talk regarding the production floor execution interface, which is also available on YouTube, for this session we will just do a quick overview. First, we'll review how to configure the production floor execution interface through the D365 client. Next up will be a walkthrough of the available time and attendance activities, clocking in and out, registering a break, registering an indirect activity, and how to view your time for the day. Finally, we'll show a view of machine health with metrics, then show how workers can log maintenance requests and register downtime. To access the production floor execution configuration form, first we'll go to Production Control, Setup, and Configure Production Floor Execution. Here we'll have the main configuration form that lists all of the available configurations and also shows the tabs that will be shown as defined by this configuration. Here we have the All Jobs, Active Jobs, and My Machine. If we want to change the tabs, we'll click on the Design Tabs button at the top of the screen. On this form, again, we have all of the available tabs listed, and if we go into the details, we can see a list of the available actions and can add or remove those into the selected actions that will be accessible from the interface. For this Active Jobs tab, we have selected actions that are specific to reporting progress. On the All Jobs tab, you can see that we've selected more general actions and that we've also assigned time and attendance actions to the secondary toolbar, as this is the main interface. On the My Machine tab, we've only selected actions that will allow us to request maintenance and register downtime. So now we're going to dive into the actual production execution floor interface. First, we'll go into production control, then over to manufacturing execution and production floor execution, and this will load directly into the browser. You can also add a tag to the URL in order to make this full screen and not display the other menus. The first time we access this interface, it will need to be configured by someone with the shop floor supervisor role. So here we'll select the configuration that we just defined. And now we will select the production unit, the production resource group. Today we'll be assembling cabinets, as well as the resource, which will be cabinet assembly worker number 1. And now we can use this configuration to load into the interface. On this landing page, we can see the number of jobs in the queue as well as their status. So now we can log in either using badge number or a password. And after a second, we'll see a confirmation of clock in. And now you can see the tabs that we had defined in that configuration, as well as the actions that were selected. So we have all jobs, active jobs, and my machine. The primary actions were my day, assistant, starting jobs. The bundle will let you start multiple jobs at the same time, and then the instruction button will display any instruction documents you have tied to this released product or this route. So now that we're clocked in, it's time to go ahead and take a break and grab some coffee. So we will click the break action. We will select the break from work and then hit OK. And this will start tracking time against this bucket. Once we're done with our break, we'll come back, hit stop break, and now it's time for our morning team meeting. So we will hit our activities and we will select the indirect activity of team meetings. Once again, we hit OK, and that will start tracking time against this. So now we're back at our workstation. So we'll stop the team meeting and we'll check the My Day log to see what we've logged so far. And so after a strenuous morning of clocking in, getting coffee, and sitting through another team meeting, we're now ready to get to work. Okay, so now that we're ready, we're going to select one of the pending jobs that are available for speaker assembly. After reviewing the details of this job, as far as what we'll be assembling, the job type, and the other employees that may be working on this, we will hit the Start Job button. And this production order is for 184 units, which we can't finish during this shift, so we will start with 10. Okay, and now you can see that we're ready to go for these 10 units, and we will report that as started. So now, we'll spend a few hours at our workstation assembling these units, and once those are complete, we'll want to come back and report the progress. So now we find this under the active jobs list. You can see that we have the 10 units listed as started. We'll highlight the job and hit report progress. In the last couple of hours, we've only managed to finish 2 units, so we enter that here. We are not changing the status of the job because we'll still be working on this later, and then we'll hit report progress. Okay, now we're back to the active jobs page, and then as you scroll over, you can see that of the 10 that we've started, we have 2 now marked as completed. So unfortunately, during that same time period, we had 1 unit that was damaged, so we need to report some scrap. We had 1 damaged unit, and for the error cause, we're going to select operator unit. And we're blaming this one on Steve since he'd knocked the unit off of our assembly bench. Dang it, Steve. Next, we're going to go to the My Machine tab to see more information about our equipment. From this tab, we will look up an asset that has been assigned to us. And by hitting the gear button, we can see the counters that are available for this asset. Selecting them will display the data points collected for those counters, whether they were entered manually or reported via IoT. In this case, we're going to choose temperature and hours of operation. And here you can see the aggregated averages for the data points that have been collected over the last several days. Also listed are the previously submitted maintenance requests and downtime that has been logged. Since the machine has definitely been acting up after Steve used it last, we're going to submit another maintenance request. As you submit your maintenance request, be sure to submit clear and concise details so that the issue can be addressed as soon as possible. Now that that has been requested, we're going to assume that this will take roughly an hour to fix. So we're going to register this as downtime, putting in the maintenance reason code. And we will adjust the time of the downtime to include 1 hour. And now we'll have that fixed and make sure that Steve no longer borrows our equipment. So that concludes our quick overview of the basic functions. Now we're going to cover one of the new features. In some cases, it is required for the manufacturer to be able to register the amount of material that has been used for a given batch or production order. 2 features have been added to support this function. One to support non-WMS enabled items, which is now mandatory as of .43, and the other to add support for WMS-enabled items, which requires version .42 or higher. The Register Material Consumption on the Production Floor Execution Interface feature enables workers to use the Production Floor Execution Interface to register material consumption, batch numbers, and serial numbers, but only for non-WS items. To do it for WMS items, both features must be enabled. So to register material consumption, first we select the active job, and then hit the Adjust Materials button. Now we select a component, and we can hit the Reserve Material button. And here we will create reservations against these materials. Now that these have been created, we will go back, hit OK to go back a screen, and then we can hit Post Now to create the journal. And that concludes this portion, and so now I will hand it over to Hector to cover tracked components.
Thank you, Philip. All right, so let's talk about track components. The track components feature is what thought about on some manufacturing processes where we require that the workers can register the serial or batch numbers of the used components and then match them to the finished good serial or batch number during assembly. This is where the track components feature comes in. The track components feature, which is now available with version 10.043, can be used in both the web client and the production floor execution interface. This feature allows workers to register batch or serial numbers for materials and components that are used in manufacturing processes. They can then associate those component numbers with the batch or serial numbers of the product that are produced. In this way, manufacturers can optimize their process, enhance product quality, and respond quickly to any issues that arise. Managers can use the item tracing report to effectively track batch or serial numbers that are registered through the track components feature. Batch and serial numbers can be registered as track components in both production and batch orders. Batch and serial numbers can be registered using either the keyboard or the barcode scanning operations. And the barcode, we fully support DS1 barcodes for this. This feature is prepared for integration to the traceability add-in for Dynamics 365 supply chain management. Now we will be sharing a quick demo where we will enable the track components feature. Then we will configure it with the production floor execution interface. And then we will go into one of our production orders and link our products with its components. So let's see this demo. for this demo, let's first make sure we enable the track components in our production floor execution interface. In order to do that, we will also need to make sure that we have enabled the feature in the feature management. So let's do that. We go into feature management and we look for our track components feature. Okay, and as we can see, we have already enabled this feature. So let's go now and configure our production floor execution. We go into production control and we go to configure production floor execution. Once here, we will select our configuration. We will then go to active jobs and then we will edit the active jobs. And in the primary toolbar, we will make sure that we add track components feature. We saved our configuration, and now we should be able to use the track components in the production floor execution interface. So let's go to our interface. And then I will log in with my worker. As you can see, I have already created a production order that has already been started. So if I go to my active jobs, I'm going to be seeing it there. This production order is for a product, which is a speaker, but this speaker only has one component. This is mainly for simplicity in our demo, but this is going to be showing us very well how we can use track components. So I'm going to be selecting it then, and then I will click on track components. Once we have clicked on track components, we will see this screen. This screen will show us on the top right how many speakers we're going to be producing today. So for this production order, it's going to be 2. So we will see where we are. So this is our first speaker. And for this very first speaker, we're going to be scanning our serial number. So these speakers are only tracked by serial number, but if you use batch number, that is also available with track components. So I'm going to be scanning my serial number. And then we will get this message saying that it has been done successfully. And then we can also check the serial number is now part of the registry. So we can see it right here. So now let's add or scan our serial number for our component, which is this one. As you can see on the progress, we see that it's serial of 1. So we haven't linked any component to our speaker. So let's do that right now. So for this one, I'm going to be adding a serial number, which is going to be 3. I scan it, and now you can see in the progress that we have 1 of 1 already done. Now let's say I made a mistake and I shouldn't have selected the serial number 23. I first needed to use the serial number 22, which I already have on the production. So let's reset the component link. Now it's not linked anymore, and we can scan the component once more. So let's select that number 22 that we needed to use. There we go. So right now I needed to select the item number because I am entering the serial number with the keyboard, which is available for you. But you can also use barcodes, and we do support GS1's barcodes. So let's say that GS1 barcode is including item number as well as serial number. So if you have that information, once you scan, you are not required to select the line of the component that you will be linking to your finished good. Okay, now let's go to our next speaker. We'll scan our serial number. And then, as with the first one, we will now scan the serial number. So for this one, I do want to use the number 23. Now we click on OK. Now our components are linked. So we now have a speaker with the serial number ending in 56 with a component with the serial number 22. And then we will also have a speaker with a serial number ending in 57 with a component with the serial number 23. So now let's go and see where can we see this this tracking of these components. And for this, we'll use a report called item tracing. So we will need to select our component and then the serial number that we want to look for. So let's use first one, the number 22. We can see our speaker with the serial number 56 is using our component, which is this one with the serial number 22. So this is our speaker and this is our component. So if we go and do the same exercise for the serial number 23, we should see the same, but for the speaker with the serial number ending in 57. So let's do that now. And as expected, we can see our speaker with this serial number with this component with serial number 23. This brief exercise shows you what you can do with track controllers feature. As we mentioned, this is still in preview. This is still a working process, so there might be some changes coming, but this will be available in version 43. So we will keep you posted on the new features that will be available. So now I will continue with our presentation and we will show you some enhancements that we have been adding into the production floor execution interface since version 40 on up to version 42. All right, so there's a small correction. This video and this demo was recorded days before we went live with version 10.43. It is now live, so this track components feature is now generally available for you to be using. Now, let's see some of the enhancements that we have been adding since we first introduced the production floor execution interface. The first one I want to show is the switch code. Workers can now use switch codes directly from the production floor execution interface. So let's say, for example, that a worker wants to cancel their first break. Then instead of having the break, they will be able to select the cancel first break switch code, and this will automatically, you can configure it to automatically change it for some overtime. These switch codes can be configured in the backend through the time and attendance indirect activities. The next enhancement that we want to show is the list view for reporting progress. On the report progress screen, you can now toggle between a list view and the original detail view. What we're seeing right now on the screen is our original view, and now I'm going to be showing the list view. So as you can see, this list view allows you to see multiple of your active jobs. So you can now as well report progress for multiple orders at the same time. One other enhancements that we have is the license plates. So you used to be able to use license plate, but now we have a validation that you can toggle. So you can request to have an existing license plate when you are using the production floor execution. So this way, when the worker scans a license plate, if this license plate doesn't exist or it wasn't created before, you will get an error. Before you were able to scan it, and you could create a new license plate, but this could cause some inconsistencies. So this enhancement will help you avoid those. The next enhancement that I want to show is the project jobs. You can now also configure a new tab using the production floor execution configuration, which Phil recently showed, and you can select to add your projects. You can also select project budgets, and also you can select project activities. So once you have added your project jobs, you will be able to see them in the interface. You can then go into the interface and select a job and start it. It will be treated as an indirect activity, and then you will need to select a cost category. If you want to stop the project job, you can either clock out or change the activity you're doing inside of the interface. The last enhancement that I want to show, it's the decoupled time and the time and attendance feature. So basically, we introduced this option so you can use an estimated time instead. Workers can see the job on the interface and are able to start the job and complete it using only estimated time. Reporting progress is still there, but they can choose to use estimated time only. With this new capability, you will be able to skip the approval process required with the time and attendance. So if by any chance you're not using time and attendance and you still want to use the PFE interface, then you can go to the production order default parameters and select the skip time adjustments. So we have seen the enhancements that are already live, but we also want to show you a couple of enhancements that are coming with version 10.044. The first enhancement that I want to show is the display color theme for PFE. This display color theme enhancement will let you select, while you configure your device, a specific color theme that you can also then change when you log in and select your user. You're able to change this color theme as well. Once you select the color theme, the interface will remember which color was selected by the worker, so it shows the same one once you go back in. This mainly will help with people that are in the production floor that used to have some issues while looking at the screen. This high contrast displays will help those workers. The last enhancement that we want to show is a new enhancement for track components. We just released it, but we're already working on what's coming next for this feature. So we're introducing the track component policies. These policies can be selected directly on the release product detail page under Manage Inventory. These policies can be modified depending on the business requirement. For example, if the product you have in serial or batch is serial or batch control, and still you don't want to track them, you can set the Use Track Components policy to No. By default, if there is no policy assigned to an item, it will consider that this product does not need to be tracked or does not need to use track components. Another example is pre-allocation for product. So for example, if you use advanced warehouses processes, where you want to make sure that the serial number or batch number are already allocated during picking. So with this policy, if the worker scans a non-allocated number, the operation will fail. We're now going to be showing you some additional resources that are available for you. These resources are documents that could help you on understanding better the production floor execution interface, and they also contain more details on the features that we have recently shown. We also want to know if we hit the mark, so please let us know what do you think about this tech talk that we just had. We also have been answering some of your questions, and we will let some time for a couple of questions now, so we can answer to you them live. The rest of the questions will be reviewed by our product lead Johan, and we will be sending those. We will putting those answers in the Jammer group. And with that, we're going to be leaving some time for questions.
We've already had a few that have been come in and been answered in the main chat. So while we're waiting for some others to be submitted, maybe we can cover some of those, Johan.
There's a question around quality order functionality for production floor execution interface. We have on the roadmap to enable the worker on the interface to enable the worker to enter the test result related to the quality order with the same UI as you see in PFE. So a very simple and efficient way to do that. And that will just update the quality order in the backend. We also had some feedback around creating a quality order ad hoc from the production flow execution interface if a non-conformance was detected. So that will also be taken into consideration. Then there were a question around the instructions, if that is possible to also add instructions to the route level and then open it from PFE. The answer to that is yes. Question around the track component feature, where you link serial or batch numbers from the components and match them to the serial batch numbers for the finished good that you are producing. So it's tightly integrated to the consumption process. So if the serial numbers that you are scanning for your components can be set up to be automatically consumed, so you don't need to take care. It's kind of taken care of already by the scanning that you have done. And we showed you the track component policy that validates if the serial numbers that you are scanning for the components are allocated the order. As Hector mentioned, this is irrelevant if you are doing order picking and pick specific serial numbers to the order. Then this validation is making sure that what you're actually scanning is also allocated. Is also supporting scenarios where you are not allocating serial numbers directly. You can even use it if you allow blank receipts of serial numbers. Let's say you have components that you receive in inventory without registering the serial numbers of those. Then you can set up the system to register the serial numbers at consumption or as part of the track component registration, and then those serial numbers will be consumed.
I think there was another question, Johan, where asking about creating a non-conformance from PFE.
Yeah, that's a good feedback. I think that is relevant. Instead of a quality order, it could also be a non-conformance, a product non-conformance. We're also adding some new functionality for advanced quality management, where we also have the concept of a kappa case, which is a more general definition of a non-conformance. That could be any type of non-conformance you wish to log, not only a product non-conformance. So that would also be a candidate to create the kappa case from the PFE. We just need to style it in the right way, so you have a very lightweight user experience. There was also a question around adding columns to the production flow execution interface. Those of who worked with the old device experience, the job card terminal, know that there was actually on the field level an option to add and remove from grids which fields that you wanted to see. We don't have the same granular way of configuring the production flow execution interface. However, you can use personalization and saved use, and that way you can tailor the grids.
There's one more question regarding if are you adding an option to enter the first and last serial number when picking? Today we have to scan every serial number.
It's not on our backlog. I would like to discuss this in more details, so feel free to create an idea for this so that we can review, so we can make this more efficient. I can see there's also a question around project management module. We added an option also to register on project activities from the production flow execution interface. So that is a separate tab that you can configure, and then you can make time registration on project activities. Then there's a question: how can we manage components of the teams from D365 manually and not from the interface? If I understand this correctly, the production flow execution interface is like an interface to the client, and in the client you can register your time and material consumptions in journals. So you have a picking list journal where you are doing it's actually not the picking, it's the consumption. So you do the consumption of the products and you can create the journals manually. It's a good question around, is it possible to add release to warehouse button, or is it on the roadmap? yeah, I think also a very good idea. So if you're running out of material on the shop floor, on the production location, then you can actually just request it from the warehouse by generating warehouse work. I think that is a super good scenario that we have on the backlog. So I hope that we can ship it in a coming version.
There's also an upvoted question regarding information about the sensors of the equipment connected via IoT. Is there anything that we have added here?
And can you read up this question?
Yeah, for sure. Could information about the sensors of the equipment connected via IoT be added here?
If information can be added, yeah. So we have a full documentation of the solution called Sensor Data Intelligence, where you can read about how you can utilize sensor data connected to the IoT hub, and which scenarios we are supporting out of the box, where you can correlate, say, sensor data with the business scenarios within supply chain management. And these scenarios are in asset management, for example, how you can track the usage of your assets and drive your maintenance plans based on that. But we also have some scenarios in production. You can track if you are behind or too fast on your production runs. And there's also a quality management scenario where you can update your batch attributes based on sensor data. And get notified if you are outside thresholds. Lots of question coming up here. Is material consumption possible for batch tracks items in PFE? Yes, it is. So you can, with the new form that Hector showed you for consuming material, open the picking list, you can do this. A new option that will be added is also the option to add a new line in this form. So if you want to substitute an item, then you can actually add a new line item to the picking list and consume that from PFE.
Right, then we can wrap this up. Thanks for our presenters and to you, our audience, for attending our Tech Talk today. We hope you have a great rest of the day. Thank you.